All right, welcome everyone to the deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive, of course, into the city of Hyderabad, India.
A fascinating city.
It really is. And we've got this really great podcast episode called Hyderabad Unveiled, Pearls, Biryani, and Beyond.
That's a great title. It really does make you want to kind of dig in and find out more about this city.
Yeah, and I think, our mission today is to really uncover all the captivating aspects of Hyderabad and really, highlight where it came from and where it is now and where it's going.
It's a city with a long and rich history, and a vibrant present. It seems to be at this crossroads of the ancient and the modern.
Yeah, and I think, right off the bat, this podcast episode, they really dangle some really intriguing elements in front of you. It's a city that's based its founding was based on a love story, a romantic legend. It was a global hub for diamonds and pearls.
Oh, wow.
The Kohinoor diamond itself was held within its walls.
That's incredible. It really paints this picture of a city, steeped in history and opulence.
Yeah, and then you have this contrast of these beautiful ancient palaces and these booming areas with tech giants.
So it's not stuck in the past. It's really embraced the future as well.
Yeah, and of course there's the food. Hyderabad is known for its biryani, which is supposed to be world class.
Yeah, I've heard incredible things about the biryani.
So let's unpack all of this, starting with the beginning.
Okay.
So Hyderabad was founded in 1591 by Sultan Muhammad Qali Qabi Shah of the Golconda dynasty.
That's going back quite a ways.
It really is.
Yeah.
And there's this legend of this woman named Bagmati, who the Sultan was enamored with, and essentially built the city in her honor. And it's originally even called Bagnagar before it became Hyderabad.
So it was literally a monument to love.
It really was, and it's just incredible to think that, that a city could be, founded based on such a powerful human emotion. But I think, beyond just the romance of Qabi Shahi rulers, they really seem to have a vision. They turned Hyderabad into this major trading center.
And it was strategically located, wasn't it? I mean, kind of in the heart of India, well positioned for trade.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier, the diamonds and pearls, they were legendary.
I mean, for it to have housed the Kohinoor diamond speaks volumes.
Yeah. And it wasn't just, a pretty stone. Controlling these diamonds really, had significant geopolitical power.
Oh, I bet. I mean, those sorts of treasures could make or break alliances, influence conflicts.
Absolutely.
It must have been a very coveted kingdom.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, to tie all of this together, it was really the geographical advantages and the forward-thinking policies of these rulers that set the stage for Hyderabad's long-term success.
That makes sense. I mean, focusing on trade, especially in those high-value commodities, would naturally attract wealth. Skilled artisans, international attention, all the ingredients you need for a city to really thrive.
Exactly. And then, that leads us to the Nizams.
Yes.
Who ruled for over 2 centuries. And it sounds like, their era was a really, a peak for Hyderabad, turning it into one of the wealthiest princely states in all of India.
So from diamonds to a truly wealthy kingdom, it seems like Hyderabad really had it going on. What were some of the standout aspects of the Nizam's rule?
Well, I think, the podcast really points to their wealth, but also their commitment to arts and culture. They really cultivated this cosmopolitan atmosphere, bringing in talent from across the world.
Oh, interesting. So not just economic power, but also this flourishing of the arts.
Yeah. We see that in the architecture and the literature and the artistic traditions. Think of the Bidri metalwork or the unique Hyderabadi Urdu dialect. These are all legacies from that era.
It sounds like a real golden age for the city.
Yeah, it really does. So let's fast forward a bit, because today Hyderabad is this really interesting juxtaposition of the old and the new.
Yeah, that's what really drew me to it, that sense of history meeting modernity.
Yeah. And this podcast gives us this great overview of some of the must-see landmarks.
Perfect. Let's hear about them.
Let's start with the Charminar.
Okay.
Built in 1591, described as the heart and soul of Hyderabad.
Oh, I've seen pictures. It's that beautiful structure with the 4 minarets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just visually striking.
Yeah, it really is more than just, a monument. It's a powerful symbol of the city.
So it's got that Indo-Islamic architectural style, that combination of Indian craftsmanship with Islamic design principles, those pointed arches, the intricate geometric patterns. It really speaks to a city where cultures have blended and influenced each other over centuries.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then there's Golconda Fort, which we already touched on, with the Koh-i-Noor Diamond, but it also offers these incredible views and is, full of history.
So, besides its blingy past, what should we be paying attention to when we think about Golconda Fort? What makes it special?
Well, beyond just the diamonds, it's really an incredible example of engineering and military architecture. For example, the acoustics are remarkable.
What do you mean?
So, like, you can clap your hands at the entrance and you can hear it clearly at the highest point of the fort, over a kilometer away.
Wow. That's amazing. It's not just a pretty fort. It was clearly strategically designed.
Yeah, exactly. They probably use those acoustics, for military purposes, sending signals.
Makes sense, a bit of a historical intercom system.
And yeah, like I said, the panoramic views, you really get a sense of the scale and the importance of this fort.
Okay. So, we've got the heart of the city with the Charminar, the strategic stronghold of Golconda Fort. What's next on our architectural tour?
Next, we have the Chamahala Palace, which was the former seat of the Nizams.
Ah, those wealthy patrons of the arts. What's their palace like?
Well, it's got this really interesting Mughal Persian architectural style.
A mix of styles. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's really grand.
So what does that blend of Mughal and Persian styles tell us about Hyderabad?
Well, I think it really reflects the cultural ties, that the Nizam's court had. This blending of design elements. It's a key characteristic of Hyderabad's architectural heritage. This intermingling of different artistic traditions.
It speaks to a society that was open to and appreciative of diverse aesthetics.
Exactly.
So we've seen grandeur, history, and cultural fusion. What else does Hyderabad have to offer?
Well, we can't forget Hussein Sagar Lake, with that iconic Buddha statue.
Oh, yeah. I've seen pictures of that. It's quite a sight, that statue right in the middle of the lake.
It's supposed to be a great place to watch the sunset.
Ah.
This oasis of calm amidst a bustling city.
A little bit of peace and tranquility. Sounds lovely.
Yeah, and the Buddha statue itself really symbolizes, peace and serenity.
It definitely adds to that feeling. And it's a very recognizable landmark for the city.
It really is.
So we've covered history, architecture, a touch of spirituality. What else should we know about Hyderabad?
Well, we've got to talk about Ramoji Film City.
Ramoji Film City. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
So this is a place that the podcast describes as the world's largest film studio complex.
Whoa. Okay, that's a big claim to fame.
It is. It is. And I think it really speaks to, Hyderabad's more recent identity as a player in the Indian entertainment industry. It attracts a ton of visitors. It contributes to the regional economy.
So moving beyond its historical roots and embracing the modern world of film and entertainment.
Yeah, it really showcases, this modern creative side of Hyderabad. Okay, are you ready to talk about the food?
Oh, always ready to talk about food. Especially when we're talking about a city known as a foodie paradise. Lay it on me.
Okay, well, it's impossible to talk about Hyderabad without talking about the biryani.
Ah, yes, the legendary Hyderabadi biryani. What makes it so special?
So, fragrant basmati rice, incredibly tender meat, and a closely guarded blend of spices.
Okay, now my mouth is watering. That sounds delicious.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is, it's not just a dish, it's a tradition, passed down through generations. There's different regional variations, family-specific cooking techniques.
So it's a dish steeped in history and culture.
Yeah, it really is. But it doesn't stop there. There's also halim, which is a Ramadan specialty made with wheat, meat, and ghee.
Halim. Okay. I've heard the name, but I'm not sure I know what it is.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, really rich and comforting and nourishing. That slow cooking process, it just allows the ingredients to meld together.
So it's a dish that's meant to be savored, not just eaten quickly.
Yeah, and it's another example of, the city's diverse culinary heritage.
Adapting to different traditions and occasions.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the savory. What about something sweet?
All right, well, for those of us with a sweet tooth, there's double kamitha, which is made with fried bread, sugar syrup, and saffron.
Double kamitha. That sounds decadent.
It is. It literally translates to bread of two stages, because you fry the bread and then soak it in that syrup.
And saffron, that's a touch of luxury.
Yeah, it gives it that beautiful color and that distinct aroma.
A perfect end to a Hyderabadi feast.
Absolutely.
But, it's not just about the food itself, is it? It's about the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Like enjoying Irani chai with Osmania biscuits in one of those classic Irani cafes.
That sounds like a cultural ritual I can get behind.
Oh yeah, it's a huge part of Hyderabad's culture. These cafes they're social hubs. People from all walks of life come together.
So it's about connection, community, over a cup of chai and some biscuit?
Absolutely. And finally, in terms of the culinary highlights, there's Pathar Kagasht.
Pathar Kagasht. Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
So this is meat that's cooked on a hot stone.
On a hot stone. Interesting. What's the purpose of that?
Well, it gives it this really unique smoky flavor. That intense heat sears the meat.
Okay, so it's a more rustic, almost primal way of cooking.
Yeah.
And it really highlights that smoky flavor.
Absolutely. So, what's really clear from this podcast is that, Hyderabad is a city that really beautifully balances, these two worlds, the old and the new. You have the charm of the old city and the energy of HITEC City.
Yeah, it's that contrast that's so fascinating. Like, how do these two sides of Hyderabad coexist?
Well, I think, what's really interesting is that they don't just coexist, they kind of complement each other.
What do you mean?
So the old city, it's holding on to its history with those markets, the crafts, the architecture.
Right.
And then HITEC City, is very modern. It's a global technology and innovation center.
So it's like tradition and progress are happening side by side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just, lip service.
Mm.
The podcast points out that, there are companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon in HITEC City.
Wow. So major players in the tech world.
Yeah. I mean, it really puts Hyderabad on the map as a key player in India's IT sector.
Yeah. It attracts talent. It fosters innovation. It's got to be a huge boost to the city's economy.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you're looking ahead, Hyderabad seems to be aiming to become, an even more prominent metropolitan center. There's these upcoming projects like Pharma City and an aerospace hub.
Wow. Okay, so they're not just resting on their laurels. They're really planning for the future.
Yeah, we're thinking ahead.
Diversifying their economy.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport, which, the podcast says is, one of the best in India.
Yeah, I mean, a modern airport is essential for any city with global aspirations. It's your gateway to the world.
Absolutely. It makes it easy for people to come and go and for goods to flow in and out.
And it's a statement, too. It says, we're connected, we're open for business.
Yeah. So moving on, the podcast really talks about the festivals in Hyderabad and the cultural harmony.
Yeah.
It mentions Ramzan, Basokama, Bonlu, Diwali, Christmas, all celebrated with real joy throughout the city.
That's wonderful. It speaks to a city that's inclusive, welcoming, where different cultures and religions can coexist and celebrate together.
Yeah. And the way they describe the nighttime atmosphere during Ramzan, with those food streets and the lights, it sounds really magical.
Yeah, like the city comes alive in a whole new way. It's a time for community, for sharing, for enjoying those delicious foods.
Yeah. And then, you have Bathukama, this beautiful floral festival, and Bonalu, which is a unique festival honoring goddess Mahakali.
So festivals deeply rooted in the local traditions of the Telugu-speaking region.
Exactly. And even Diwali and Christmas, are celebrated, throughout the city with lights and festive spirit.
It's really lovely that everyone joins in. No matter their background, it reinforces that sense of unity.
Yeah. Now, the podcast also mentions some hidden gems, places that you might not find in a typical guidebook.
Oh, I love those. Those are often the best finds, the places where you can really get a feel for the local culture.
Yeah. So Shamir Pit Lake is mentioned as a really peaceful natural retreat.
Okay, so a place to escape the hustle and bustle of the city.
Yeah. And then there's the Quadbat Shahi tombs, which are near Golconda Fort, a historically significant site.
Okay. And often overlooked, it sounds like. So a chance to delve a bit deeper into the history.
Yeah, absolutely. Mahul Ali Hill is known for having these incredible panoramic views of the city.
Always a good way to get a sense of a place, seeing it all laid out before you.
Yeah. And then finally, Lad Bazaar, which is, known for its bangles and pearls.
Okay, now that takes us back to Hyderabad's roots as a trading center. You know, that connection to those precious commodities.
Yeah, exactly. And it's supposed to be just this vibrant market, full of color and energy.
A feast for the senses.
It really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that Hyderabad is a city built on contrast. That rich history and the modern technology, all kind of interwoven with this vibrant cultural scene.
It's a city that honors its past while embracing the future.
Exactly. And it really does make you think, given the city's growth and its commitment to, preserving its heritage and forging ahead, how is that going to continue to shape its identity?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. What stories will Hyderabad tell in the years to come?
It really is.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
I can't wait to explore more.
Same here.
Until